They were built to be cheap, to disappear into daily life, to never be admired. And yet, they changed everything. From tiny engines humming through post-war streets to trucks engineered to survive the end of the world, these cars carried millions forward. They moved families, built economies, earned trust 1 mile at a time. For a moment, their ideas ruled the road. Simplicity beat excess. Engineering beat image. But then, the world shifted. Comfort grew heavier. Technology grew complex. And the quiet brilliance that once defined greatness began to fade into the background. Few realized it at the time, but these unassuming machines solved problems luxury cars couldn't touch. Space, reliability, survival. They weren't cheap because corners were cut. They were cheap because nothing was wasted. Their legacy lives on in every car we drive today. And the greatest masterpiece might be the one you never noticed. Number 10. Volkswagen Beetle, powered by an air-cooled flat-four. A car built to be cheap, simple, and ordinary, that somehow became immortal. The Beetle wasn't designed to impress. It was designed to survive. No radiator to freeze, no complex systems to fail, just an engine humming in the back, pushing millions forward through decades of change. For students, families, and first-time buyers, it delivered something rare: trust. But then, the world evolved. By the 1970s, safety rules tightened. Comfort expectations rose. The Beetle's simplicity, once its superpower, began to feel outdated. Sales slowed. Critics called it obsolete. Few realized it at the time, but this humble machine had already rewritten automotive engineering. Its layout influenced generations of small cars, and its durability became legend. The most respected year to own is 1967, when reliability, power, and simplicity peaked. The Beetle proved cheap didn't mean careless. And next, we meet the car that didn't just change driving, it changed the world itself. Number 9. Ford Model T, powered by a 2.9-liter inline-four. A machine so simple it looked almost primitive, yet powerful enough to reshape civilization. The Model T wasn't fast, it wasn't quiet, it wasn't refined, but it did something no car had ever done before. It turned mobility into a right, not a luxury. Thanks to interchangeable parts and the moving assembly line, millions could suddenly afford freedom. Dirt roads became pathways to opportunity. Distance shrank. The world sped up. But then, progress demanded more. As roads improved and drivers expected comfort, the Model T refused to change. Manual controls felt ancient. Design stood still. By the late 1920s, what once felt revolutionary now felt stubborn. Few realized it at the time, but the damage was already done, in the best possible way. The Model T had permanently rewritten engineering, manufacturing, and society itself. The most respected version is the 1926-1927 model, the strongest and most refined. One car gave the world wheels. And next, we meet the machine that perfected reliability by refusing to be exciting. Number 8. Toyota Corolla, powered by Toyota's small, efficient inline-four. A car that never chased attention and quietly conquered the world. The Corolla didn't promise excitement. It promised something far rarer. It would start every morning. It would survive abuse. It would ask for almost nothing in return. Through disciplined engineering, Toyota stripped away excess and focused on balance. Lightweight, simple mechanics, engines tuned to last, not impress. For millions of owners, the Corolla became invisible, and that was the magic. But then, invisibility bred indifference. As flashier rivals appeared, critics called it boring, disposable, forgettable. And yet, year after year, it kept running, outlasting trends, outliving expectations, becoming the benchmark others chased but rarely matched. Few realized it at the time, but this was engineering restraint at its finest. The most respected years are 1988-1991, when reliability, efficiency, and build quality peaked. The Corolla didn't shout greatness. And next, we meet a small car that proved efficiency could be thrilling. Number 7. Honda Civic, powered by a high-revving inline-4. A cheap car that behaved like it had something to prove. Honda didn't build the Civic to dominate headlines. It built it to reward precision, lightweight engineering, tight tolerances, engines that loved to rev, not because they had to, but because they were built right. Every part felt intentional. Every movement felt efficient. For young drivers, it was an awakening. Affordable didn't have to mean dull. Reliable didn't have to mean slow. But then, success changed the rules. As the Civic grew more popular, expectations grew with it. Regulations added weight. Costs climbed. The purity of the formula slowly softened. Few realized it at the time, but this era of Civic defined Honda's engineering identity. The 1990 model stands out as the sweet spot, blending reliability, efficiency, and driving joy. It proved smart engineering could feel alive. And next, we step even further back to a car that mastered simplicity so completely it bordered on genius. Number 6. Citroën 2CV, powered by an air-cooled flat twin. A car designed to be almost nothing, and somehow became everything. The brief was famously absurd. Carry farmers across plowed fields without breaking eggs. Be cheap to buy, cheap to fix, impossible to kill. Citroën answered with radical engineering restraint. Long travel suspension that floated over terrain. Minimal weight. Parts so simple they bordered on poetic. It worked. Brilliantly. The 2CV became a symbol of post-war recovery, mobility, and quiet resilience. It went places bigger cars feared. It ran when others quit. But then, progress arrived wearing comfort and speed. As roads improved and tastes changed, the 2CV looked slow, fragile, outdated. Sales faded. Mockery followed. Few realized it at the time, but this was engineering purity at its peak. The most respected years are 1974-1981, when reliability and refinement were strongest. The 2CV proved that genius doesn't shout. And next, a tiny car that changed how the entire world builds cars. Number 5. Mini, powered by a transverse-mounted inline-4. A car so small it looked like a compromise. Yet it redefined intelligence on wheels. When the Mini arrived, fuel was scarce and space was precious. Its answer was radical. Turn the engine sideways, drive the front wheels, push the cabin to the edges. Suddenly, a tiny car could carry 4 adults and feel agile doing it. This wasn't styling. It was engineering rebellion. The world noticed. Racing teams noticed even faster. The Mini embarrassed far larger, more expensive cars, proving brilliance didn't need excess. But then, time caught up. Rust, noise, and safety concerns followed. As cars grew bigger and safer, the original Mini felt exposed. Its dominance faded, even as its legend grew. Few realized it at the time, but nearly every modern front-wheel drive car borrows from this blueprint. The most respected years are 1967-1970, when performance and reliability aligned. The Mini didn't just save space. And next, we meet a car that mastered affordability through brutal honesty. 4. Number 4. Fiat Panda, powered by a simple inline-4. A car that looked unfinished because nothing unnecessary was ever finished. The Panda wasn't designed to impress buyers. It was designed to respect them. Flat glass, flat panels, seats that folded, stretched, and transformed. Every part served multiple purposes and none pretended otherwise. Cheap materials weren't hidden. They were used intelligently. In rural towns and crowded cities, the Panda became indispensable. Lightweight meant efficiency. Simple mechanics meant survival. It went where expensive cars feared to go, and it kept going. But then, honesty stopped being fashionable. As buyers chased comfort and image, the Panda's raw practicality felt outdated. Safety rules tightened, costs rose. The brilliance was slowly diluted. Few realized it at the time, but this was industrial design at its purest. The most respected version is the 1986 Panda 4X4, a budget car with real capability. The Panda proved intelligence doesn't need polish. And next, we meet a truck so overbuilt it became immortal. Number 3. Toyota Hilux, powered by simple, naturally aspirated 4-cylinder engines. A cheap truck engineered like it was preparing for the end of the world. The Hilux wasn't designed to impress owners. It was designed to outlast them. Thick steel, overbuilt suspension, engines tuned for endurance, not speed. In deserts, jungles, war zones, and frozen tundra, it just kept moving. No drama, no complaints. For farmers and workers, it became more than a vehicle. It became trust on 4 wheels. But then, comfort entered the picture. As trucks evolved into lifestyle vehicles, the Hilux's harsh ride and bare interior felt outdated. Rivals added luxury. Buyers followed. The original formula quietly faded from showrooms. Few realized it at the time, but Toyota had already built something legendary. The most respected years are 1994-1997, when durability peaked before complexity crept in. The Hilux proved cheap doesn't mean weak. And next, we meet a car that rewrote affordability for the modern world. Number 2. Dacia Logan, powered by simple, naturally aspirated inline-4 engines. A car engineered to be ignored. And in doing so, it changed everything. The Logan wasn't built for passion. It was built for access. Cheap to buy, cheap to fix. Designed with brutal honesty. Renault engineers stripped the car down to what truly mattered and rebuilt it for the real world. Bad roads, harsh climates, limited budgets, no illusions. For millions, the Logan wasn't transportation. It was opportunity. First jobs, first businesses, first independence. But then, success drew criticism. Western markets mocked its looks. Journalists called it basic, outdated, uninspired. And yet, sales exploded globally. Because where it mattered most, it worked. Every day, without complaint. Few realized it at the time, but the Logan proved modern cars could be affordable without being disposable. The most respected year is 2008, after early refinements improved durability. It didn't chase admiration. And next, we reach the top. A small car that solved space itself. Number 1. Honda Fit, powered by a compact inline-4. A cheap car that looked ordinary, and quietly solved one of engineering's hardest problems. The Fit didn't chase power or prestige. It chased space, and somehow found more of it than cars twice its size. Honda's engineers pushed the fuel tank low and central, freeing the cabin in ways no one expected. Seats folded, flipped, and vanished. Bicycles fit. Furniture fit. Lives fit. For city drivers and young families, it felt like a magic trick. Small on the outside, shockingly vast within, reliable, efficient, thoughtful in every detail. But then, the market blinked. Bigger cars became fashionable. Crossovers took over. The Fit was praised, then overlooked. Few realized it at the time, but this was packaging genius at its peak. The most respected year is 2009, when refinement and reliability aligned perfectly. The Fit proved cheap didn't mean compromised. Sometimes, it meant perfected.